Hello dear students, in the previous video we studied about the emergence of two power blocks, and in today's class we will discuss about arenas of the Cold War. Dear students, we have already studied about the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the Cuban Missile Crisis was one of the several crises of the Cold War began after the Second World War. During the Cold War, the two emerging superpowers, the US and the USSR, were in front of each other at several sites, and there were some army involvement also in those sites where the USSR and the US were in front of each other. So these sites are the two superpowers were poised for direct confrontation in Korea 1950-53. So these two superpowers were engaged in military fighting in Korea from 1950 to 1953, in Berlin from 1958 to 62, in Congo in the early 60s, and in other places also. So some military conflicts were also seen in the Cold War. So the crisis deepened as neither of the parties involved was willing to back down. So the crisis at different places where the armies of these two superpowers were engaged against each other, as both of these superpowers were unwilling to back down. So when we talk about arenas of the Cold War, we refer therefore to areas where crisis and war occurred or threatened to occur between alliance system but did not cross certain limits. So when we talk about the arenas of the Cold War, then we especially refer two sides where the conflict between these two superpowers was deepened, and it was thought that army war was about to begin, but fortunately it did not cross the certain limits. A great many lives were lost in some of these arenas like Korea, Vietnam, and Afghanistan, but the world was spared, and a nuclear war and global hostilities. A number of people, soldiers, army men were killed at several sites, several conflicting areas, as in Korea, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. But the other small countries of the world, they deferred themselves from joining this Cold War, and they kept themselves away from these two superpowers, and they did not join any of the group of these two superpowers. In some cases, huge military build-ups were reported. In many cases, diplomatic communication between the superpowers could not be sustained and contributed to the misunderstandings. In some places, it was reported that the huge military was deployed, and in some cases, the diplomatic relations between these two superpowers were sustained, destroyed, and these two things, deployment of army and suspension of bilateral diplomatic relations, depend the grief, depend the seriousness of the situation. Sometimes countries outside the two blocs, for example, the non-aligned countries, played a role in reducing Cold War conflicts and averting some grave crises. Sometimes other countries, especially when we talk about non-aligned movement, then these non-aligned countries played very crucial role in reducing Cold War conflicts between these two superpowers, and they did their best to avert some grave crisis. For example, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, one of the key feature, one of the key leaders of the non-aligned movement, played a very crucial role in mediating between the two Koreas. So, the first Prime Minister of India played a very important and crucial role to pacify the crisis between the two Koreas, North Korea and the South Korea. And in other regions, in the Congo crisis, the UN Secretary played a key military role to pacify the grave situation. By and large, it was the realization on a superpower's part that war by all means should be avoided, that made them exercise restraint and behave more responsibly in international affairs. At the end, the two superpowers realized that war of any type, war of any means, should be avoided, and all the countries should refrain from indulging in any type of war. And in this way, when they realized that war should be avoided, war should be averted, they began to behave more responsibly in international affairs. As the Cold War rolled from one arena to another, the logic resistance was increasingly evident. As the Cold War shifted from one arena, from one place to another place, from one country to another country, from one region to another region, the logic of restraint was increasingly evident. That's why it was quite evident. However, since the Cold War did not eliminate rivalries between the two alliances, mutual suspicion led them to arm themselves to the teeth and to constantly prepare for war. However, the two superpowers became more responsible and tried their best to avoid any type of war, but the Cold War did not eliminate rivalries between these two superpowers, the US and the USSR. So, both of these two superpowers equipped themselves with the modern weapons, arms, and both of these powers made themselves ready to fight any war anytime against each other. Huge stocks of arms were considered necessary to prevent war from taking place, and huge stocks of arms, weapons were considered necessary to avoid wars from taking place. So in this way, both of these superpowers stockpiled a huge ammunitions, arms, and weapons also. The two sides understood that a war might occur in spite of restraint. Either side might miscalculate the number of weapons in the possession of the other side. These two sides understood that war might occur in spite of restraints, means there are some restraints on the use of weapons, but either side may miscalculate or may be in doubt that other side had so many weapons, a huge stockpile of weapons. So both of these sides were in complete doubt. They might misunderstand the intention of the other side. Besides, what if there was a nuclear accident? And both of these superpowers may misunderstand the intention of each other. Besides, if there was any mishappening or any accident with the nuclear weapon, what would happen if someone fired off a nuclear weapon by mistake, or if a soldier misbehaviously shot off weapon deliberately to start a war? Then it was felt that what would happen if any soldier by mistake fired nuclear weapon on other country, or by deliberately he shot off a weapon over other country. What if an accident occurred with a nuclear weapon? How would the leaders of that country know it was an accident and not an act of sabotage by enemy, or that a missile had not landed from the other side? So if any mishappening happens with the nuclear weapons or other missiles of any country, then other side would definitely think that the act was done by the rival. So these were some differences which were still prevailing between these two superpowers. And during this, a change happened in the world politics. Look at these two cartoons, and these two cartoons are created by Indian cartoonist Kutti. The first cartoon depicts a secret agreement of US with China. As the China government and the Chinese were in favor of Russia, the USSR, but they secretly made an agreement with the US bloc and joined the US alliance. And in next cartoon, the condition of Vietnam is shown. The US president decided to overcome or get Vietnam join its alliance, but it proved a lot of troublesome for him. So in the time, therefore, the US and USSR decided to collaborate in limiting or eliminating certain kinds of nuclear and non-nuclear weapons. That's why, to pacify all these doubts of mishappening with the nuclear and other weapons, both of these powers, the US and USSR, decided to collaborate with each other and set limitations over the use of nuclear and other weapons. A stable balance of weapons, they decided, could be maintained through arms control. And it was also decided that a stable balance of weapons could be maintained through a very perfect and army control. So both of these powers, both of these countries signed a number of agreements to pacify these doubts, avoid any type of war or creating any doubt or misunderstanding. Starting in the 1960s, the two sides signed three significant agreements with a decade. And from 1960, these two sides, the US and USSR, signed three agreements within the time of 10 years. And these three agreements were Test Ban Treaty, Limited Test Ban Treaty, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. So these three treaties, three agreements were signed. First, Test Ban Treaty, Limited Test Ban Treaty, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. Therefore, the superpowers held several rounds of arms limitation talks and signed several more treaties to limit their arms. And the process of agreements to pacify the war crisis also went after 1970s, and these two countries signed a number of other bilateral agreements to set a limit on the use of militaries, weapons, and they also held several talks, signed several more treaties to limit their arms, to limit the use of forces, to limit the use of nuclear and non-nuclear weapons. So dear students, in today's class, we discussed about the arena of the Cold War, and you have to take this complete class from the beginning till end, and still you have any doubt regarding any point, you can ask through the comment box. And in next class we will discuss the challenge of bipolarity, and till then keep learning and take good care of yourself. Thank you.